Fiona sold his intelligence, and he'll do the rest. But like we make the simple complex. Right. This dude needs information. Dude needs information. Dude needs information. Let's go!
Classy.
Good morning, everyone. You're listening to Uncommon Connector, Functional Training Zone's Career Awareness Podcast. I am your host, Kia B, on She's the Boss Radio Network, making uncommon career connections more practical to you. Thank you for tuning into today's show. Our topic is the barber business. And we have Fiona Fernelis in the building with us, and she will be talking about her career as a barber professional. All right, so Fiona is a media relations coordinator for Functional Training Zone. She's also a full-time licensed barber. She will be an instructor with Functional Training Zone, and the course that she will be teaching is Introduction to Barbering. She'll also be sharing her experiences as a barber, and she'll be informing our listeners on how to become a barber, a day in the life of a barber, and what a successful barber looks like. So, first off, I want to say, how was your day today?
Hey, it was actually very busy. Very, very busy, which was a good thing. So,
Yeah, I know. Like, it's when you have a full-time job like this, is you come in contact with a lot of different people. You have an unpredictable schedule. So, this is the life, and we are about to learn about it today.
Yes.
All
very
right.
unpredictable.
So, I'm gonna start off the interview with asking you what inspired you to be a barber.
Well, while I was in high school, I was actually working with children, and after high school, I was thinking maybe I could be a teacher. So after graduating in 2000, I went to a community college and spent 5 years attempting to be a teacher. So after my 5th year, I kind of was just like, I'm so bored with this. Like, I really didn't, like, I had no motivation to be in a classroom listening about history and just things that just wasn't interesting. So after actually like pretty much dropping out of college, I I said I wanted to try something different, just something that, I could actually learn a skill and be able to, take it along with me. And to be honest, I really don't remember or think that there was something or someone that said, hey, you should try barbering. I literally just was like, I'm going to try barbering. And I did. I enrolled in the program. They had orientation. And the one thing that stood out to me was one of the presenters where, they had a model and they were doing hair designs. And naturally, I do art. Like I paint, I tattoo, I do a couple of things, art related. And when I saw that, I was like, oh, I can do that. Excuse me. So once I saw that, I was just like, oh yeah, I think I'm in the right place. So that was in 2008. And fast forward to 2022, I am a barber and I still love it the same amount of time that when I first stepped into this, I still love it the same. And I still continue to grow to love it. So that's how I got into barbering.
So you pretty much wear multiple hats. You're into art, you're barbering, a
Yes.
person of many talents.
Yeah. But
That's
barbering is definitely like my one and only like passion, I would say. Everything else is more of a hobby and I like to
hmm
do it. But passion is definitely with barbering.
that's what's up. That's what's up. So let me ask you, what were you like a self-taught barber, or did you like shadow, or were you just tired of seeing people and decided to be like, okay, I just want to make a difference in the world, so I'm gonna just go ahead and get into barbering. So the
Actually,
first
no.
question was, you
Oh yeah,
self-taught?
yeah. No, not at all. I believe it or not, I didn't know anything about barbering. Like I didn't know anything about the tools. I didn't know what it like to expect. I honestly went into barbering being like, okay, well, I'm just gonna have to learn what this is about. And at the end of the day, like I literally learned everything from scratch. So it wasn't nothing that I was just like, oh yeah, I could make a difference because I didn't know what I would be doing as a barber like, until I went to school. And in school, I learned pretty much all the book work, like about like infectious diseases, different hair
Mm,
cutting techniques, different type of tools, just different things you can expect in a barbershop. That's where I learned pretty much everything that I needed to know as to be a barber. Before that, I had no clue, nothing at all.
wow, that's what's up.
Yeah,
Like,
it
so
was
it's almost like you knew what you want to do, but you just didn't know when you were going to start,
right.
entering that lane. So pretty much, how long have you been cutting?
I've been in the game for 14 years now.
Wow, that's a
Yeah.
good experience.
Yeah. A lot of people when they ask
Mhm.
me like new clients, they would ask me like, "How long have you been cutting?" And I hesitate to say, but I always be like, "Oh, about 14 years." Like very nonchalantly, they're like, "Wow, that's a long time to be in something like this." I was like, "Yeah." And a lot of them ask me, "Do you love it?" I was like, "Yeah, I love it a lot." Like a lot of my clients that I, have come back, they always say, I can tell that you love this. Like the way that you cut my hair, the way that you speak about, certain things. And, I'm just really like obsessed, honestly, with barbering in every aspect you could think of.
Yeah, that's what's up. So, like, what is one thing you faced as a barber, like when you got a new client and somebody just came in there and they was like, oh, Fiona, she can take you, right?
Yeah.
Did you ever feel like nervous, like, because sometimes, some people, they have a specific person that they want to go to,
Right.
and you're like, hey, I can cut, I have talent, you sure you don't want to come to me? Like, how did that
Right.
make you feel? Like, have you had experiences like that?
So here's the thing that for the longest time when I first started barbering, after being in my first barbershop and seeing that, of course, most of the barbers around me are men.
Mm-hmm.
So having been the only female in my first barbershop, it was intimidating for me because
Right.
if, at any given moment, yeah, a stranger could walk in the barbershop and automatically think, look, oh, I'm going to see men in here. But when they see a female, they'd be like, what is she doing in here? Like, I've had clients or new time clients ask me, can you cut? Like, flat out, just, can you cut? And I'm just like, yeah, I don't think I would be in here if I couldn't. But in their defense, I'm sure people have had bad experiences with barbers that can't cut. So, besides that, it's just like the whole stigma, like, oh, if you're a female, you can't do something just because you're a female. And over time, it got tiring for me. It actually made me upset a lot of the times. And like, even like to the point where I've actually had someone after they asked me, like, can you cut? And I'd be like, yeah, I can cut, thinking like, okay, yeah, I could do this, whatever. So they sit in my chair, they show me a picture of what they want. And then me being so like ready to prove them, like, yeah, I can cut. I did a good haircut, but it wasn't the haircut that they wanted. And then they got smart with me and said, does this look like what I showed you? I was like, oh, no, it doesn't. And then from that moment on, I was just like, I can't let these people that come off the street make me feel like I'm not capable of doing what I know how to do. So I just had to let that go over time. It wasn't easy to let go of, like, okay, everyone that questioned me, are going to ask me, regardless of how much I cut hair, how many people I have as a clientele. It doesn't matter because they're a stranger and they could only assume, based on their perception and maybe their experience, that females may not be able to cut hair. But there's a lot of females that I know, and I'm one of them, that can cut some good hair. So I just like, that was like probably the one thing that probably stayed with me throughout like a long time. Like I would say a good solid 10 years, like that would be always something that came up that would just rile me up, just like upset me. So I know like over time, I was just like, okay, now it's getting old. And it's just like, oh, all right. I'm tired of investing such like negative energy into when someone questioned me, like, oh, can you cut hair? Like, do you know how to do this? So I'm kind of just like, let it go at this time. Like, even today, like sometimes it riles me up, but I'm just like, there's no point. Cause once I finish what I'm doing, 9 times out of 10, actually 10 times out of 10, they'd be like, wow, you really can cut hair. It's like, oh yeah, I know. Like, I'm obsessed with this. Like, I'm always trying to figure out a better way to do something, a better tool to use, just always like I remain a student at the end of the day when it comes to barbering.
I can't disagree with you on that. I've seen your work and I'm very much impressed
Oh, thank
by
you.
the work that you do. And, I don't feel like anybody should question your abilities to cut hair, as
Right.
male or female, whoever comes
Right.
in your shop and asks
Yeah.
for something, you are very much capable of doing that. So
Yes.
I
And
want to ask you, where did you receive your barber training?
I actually went to two barber schools. Though in 2008, I went to American Beauty Academy in Wheaton, Maryland. And after I obtained my license, I mean not my license, after I finished the program, I I didn't follow through and actually get my license. I kind of just started cutting hair like mobile. Like I would go to people's houses. Like at the time I was still working with with children. So as my like as I was finishing the program, a lot of the families that I was taking care of their kids, they would be like, "Oh, you're in barber school?" Like, yeah. So they'd be like, "If you want, you can, cut our kids' hair." So I had a couple clients that would let me come to their house, and they were my first clients because they would just let me, experiment in a sense or just do what I know. So that's where it started. Like, and after like maybe after 10 years of doing that, one of my high school friends, I bumped into him and he said, "Hey, don't you cut hair?" I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "Are you in the shop?" I said, "No." He's like, "You want to come to my shop and, check it out?" And after that time, I actually was in that shop for another, 6, 7 years. And it's been amazing because, he pretty much took me under his wing and showed me the ropes essentially. And after like being in that shop, I was just like, yo, I have to get my license. Like that's something that I need. And it's like
Mm-hmm.
after a while, like you can get in trouble for not having your license in a barber shop. Even though the owner of that shop was a master barber, it's just like over time, like you're gonna be limited if you don't have a license. So after, battling myself, like I gotta get my license. No, I won't do it. No, I'm gonna do it. I finally did it and I went to a different school to get like a refresher course because it's been so long since I've been in school. So I went to Hair Academy in what is it? New Carrollton, Maryland.
Mm-hmm.
So I went to two schools, but the second school is where I actually graduated. And then shortly after that, I got my license.
So while you were in barber school, how
Mm-hmm.
was that experience for you?
For the first barber school that I was in, it was actually pretty, I want to say it was rocky, only because my barber class was the very first barber class that they started in that school. So when they were like, trying to, I guess, set the guidelines on how it's gonna run, we were kind of like the test dummies because they were trying to figure out like what is the most effective way to teach these students, what is the most effective way to, help them obtain the information and be able to execute it when it came to exam time. So it was a touch and go situation. Like a lot of days there was like students were upset, teachers were upset because things weren't clicking, and a lot of miscommunication happened. But it was only because we were the first barber class. So they were kind of experimenting with us. And like it didn't deter me from finishing the program. It was just kind of a lot of frustration, but it was also I felt proud to be the part of the first barber group because I built so many bonds with the people that were in the class. Like till this day, like I'm still cool with a lot of the people that were in that class. So that's definitely like I would do that again. Like if I could choose to do that again and go through all the quote unquote bad times, I would do it again just to meet those people that I met.
That's what's up.
Yeah.
So, what was an unforgettable moment that happened for you while you were in school?
In school,
Mm-hmm.
well, this is probably bad to say, but I remember it's crazy. So a lot of the guys that were in my class somehow, some way, managed to entice one of the instructors to, I guess, quote unquote, stoop down to that level, like be immature with him. And instead of being like the bigger person being the teacher, he engaged in it, and it caused such a crazy ruckus. Like they wanted to fight each other. It was crazy. And I was just like, he's supposed to be like an authoritative figure for us, but the boys didn't really respect him because they were just, looking at him like, oh, he ain't even like, they just challenged him. They challenged each other. It was kind of like, wait a minute, we're in school to learn and y'all are talking about stuff that is irrelevant. Like that was like one of those moments. I'm just like, if this is the reason why I can't finish this program, because he was like the only teacher that we had at the time, because they were trying to search for more teachers to come, teach us. That was probably one of the crazier things that happened in barber school that stood out. But I'm glad that it didn't like cause the program to be shut down, because it really was that close. So I'm just happy that it didn't get to that point.
Yeah, that does sound crazy.
Right. That's what I said. I was like, wait, our teacher? You guys have no respect for the teacher? Come on, y'all. It was
Mm-hmm.
crazy. It was
So,
like high school for real at some times. Like, guys, we're supposed to be adults here. Like, why are you guys doing this? Like, I didn't really speak up that much, but
mhm.
it was me and this other girl. It was like two girls and like maybe 15 other boys. So just imagine two girls in amongst all these men and boys just going at it here and there. I'm just like, we're supposed to be doing this like productive, like schoolwork. Are y'all in here challenging each other? Like, we're on the playground. Like, this is crazy. But I didn't let that deter me from finishing what I had to do. I was like, let me just put my head down and just take care of my business, because I don't got time.
Yeah, I get it. You have to stay focused, especially when you're
Yeah.
on a mission to
Yeah.
accomplish something. You can't let that
Yes.
outside noise kind of distract you from your goal,
Right.
thing like
Right.
that. So, what are some pros and cons in barbering?
Well, for me, the pros have always been like, I get to set my own hours. I of course make cash money right then and there. Um, I would say another pro is I get to invest in like different type of tools and like experiment. Like I like to, like I've actually overspent money buying tools and just gadgets and all kind of things just to be that like set myself apart as a barber that has certain things. So those were probably the three top things that I would say is a pro in barbering for me.
Mm-hmm.
And then three cons that I would say, standing on your feet just about, at least 7 to 12 hours, depending on how busy your shop is that you're in.
Mm-hmm.
Another con would probably be actually dealing with people who are rude, who are picky, who are inconsiderate. Um, yeah, just the different personalities. Just that would be something that I say would tire you mentally versus physically. But mentally is just as important, because you have to deal with the next person that may be polite. But before then, your experience with the person that was not so polite or aggressive, you got to like kind of check yourself. Like, okay, that person was that way. That has nothing to do with me. This next person, I need to give them my all, as if like that didn't just happen to me, So thinking about your mental that your mental can be tapped into and drained at any given on any given day and just over time. And then another con I would have to say working long hours and not expecting to work long hours, but during the holidays it gets crazy and people want to get their hair cut and people are willing to sit around and wait. So it's like you have to serve them I mean, you could call it short, but it's just like this is your profession. Like you can't just cut it short. And also, if you're in a barbershop with other barbers, it's like you're a team. Like you guys are depending on each other to, be there for the clients and the consumers that are walking in through to the business. So that's what I would say the 3 top cons are.
Okay. So I heard you mention that you invested a lot into being a barber. So for our listeners, what's the average monthly overhead for a barber?
You mean my income?
Well, no, just how much money you spend into, your tools, your supplies, all of those things. Like how much
what?
Yeah, how much does, or what does that look like? Like, so for somebody who's coming in, and they're new and they're trying to get all the tools and equipment they need to, be successful at what they do, like how much do you average cost for like things like that?
So, well, first, if you do go to school, the benefit of going to school, like a barber school, is they actually supply you with the basics, like the basic tools that you would need, like a clipper, a trimmer, combs, clips, barber cape. So, and that is included in your tuition. But if you're like self-taught and you want to invest in quality tools and just quality equipment in general, you're looking at I would say an average, if you get the good stuff. It's hard to say, but I'm gonna go ahead between 500 and 1200. I mean, not 500 and like about 1,200 ish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's it's worth the investment though,
Yeah, it is.
The more you invest into yourself, you'll see the return in it.
Yeah.
So it may look like woo, but I think
but
in the end it's all
in the long haul, like investing that, you'll make your money back from being in the barbershop with your amazing tools, and then people are getting quality from you. So you're making that back from spending that money, no matter how much you think it's a lot, it's worth it in the end. Because if you get stuff that is cheap, guess what? You're gonna have to keep replacing it, and that's gonna cost you more. Keep on having to replace something that's cheap when you could just get the quality equipment.
Right. So let me ask you this. What is your most affordable and favorite brand of clippers that you would recommend for those just starting out?
Ooh, this is a good one. Oh man. Well, dang, that's hard to say. Because for me, I invest in multiple different type of tools only because I have to be ready to cut different types of hair textures. So not all tools work well with certain hair textures. So it's a mix and match for me. But the ones that I was introduced to in school were Andy's Master, which is like a fading blade. That one was probably one of the most intimidating clippers to have, because if you pick it up, it's pretty heavy, and if you don't know how to use it, you could definitely mess up somebody's haircut very, very bad. So that would be one. And then what other one did I have? There's one called a magic clip, wall magic clip. So the brand is Andes and Walls. Those are the two main brands that I was introduced to in school, and those are the two main brands that I would say are in my arsenal. So those two I would say was a good starting brand.
Okay, that's good. So what's the average, if you can remember, you know, when you were in school, like what's the average tuition cost for barbering and cosmetology school?
Hmm. Well, when I started, I got financial aid, thank God.
Okay.
Um, and I think it was about 10,000. And that number has grown so much since I've been out of school, and I've stayed connected to the second school that I went to, and that tuition has is so up there, it's ridiculous. But they have financial aid. But at the end of the day, like, I'm so glad that I got into barbering when I did, because now that people see how lucrative barbering is, everybody wants to be a barber because they're thinking about, oh, the fast money. But at the end of the day, when you get that financial aid, you still got to pay it back. So
Right. Mm-hmm.
yeah.
So you mentioned financial aid. Like,
Mm-hmm.
if you can remember, what's the process like for someone applying for the financial aid to take courses in barbering?
Oh, so the school that I went to, when they approved me for the financial aid, that was like it was pretty much, I don't know. I think it was more like just to get the student in the door, like this would be ideal for them to have financial aid. So it was just like, well, I mean, it was helpful because I wouldn't have been able to do that out of my pocket. And
Mm-hmm.
there are schools around that do actually um have barber schools, but their cost is lower, but they don't offer financial aid, so you would still be coming out of your pocket, you know.
Right. Right. So, as a licensed barber, roughly how many hours did you have to complete?
I had to complete 1,200 hours.
Okay. And
Yeah.
yeah, was there ever a time where you felt like giving up during your training?
um I yeah, I'm sure I did. I think there was days where um like there wasn't much going on in the class, or I don't know, just didn't feel like being there because it was a long hour. It was long hours. It's from like I say like 8:30 a.m. to about 4:30 p.m. with like 1 hour break.
Mhm.
But most of the time when you're first starting in barbering school, you're mostly in the book. And that was like something that in high school I wasn't a studier. I
Mhm.
didn't really hit the books like, you see students now hitting the books so that they can get good grades. Like, I wasn't that student. So when I got to barber school, and I'm just like thinking, oh, we're gonna learn how to cut, we're gonna do all these like, hands-on things. But no, the school was meant to teach you the book work before anything else. And when you did do hands-on stuff, it was very basic. Like, we even learned how to put roller sets in. I was just like, how does this relate to barbering? Like, it just threw me off. Like, wait a minute, I thought we were gonna learn how to cut hair, like barbering, like cutting hair with a clipper. But no, they taught us other things outside of actually cutting hair, which was like, it was a shock to me. But I was just like, oh, I guess we need it. You know what I'm saying? So it was definitely 1,200 hours of that, and a lot of close calls. Like, I'm not going to school today. Like, there were days I didn't go because I'm like, I don't feel like it. And because I was driving from Gaithersburg to New Carrollton, which was like 30-40 minutes, and if there was traffic, about an hour. So it was just like, do I really want to sit in traffic today? Probably not. Just take a day off or two. But I didn't take off a lot of days because I knew, like, I have to get these hours. The longer I stay out of school, the more time I'm gonna have to spend in school to finish these hours. So I finished it in about a year and a half, maybe less than that, but definitely at least a year. I finished 1,200 hours, which is pretty much full time, like full time student. So
That's that'll be some challenges, especially
yeah,
when you had them days where you like, shoot, I don't even feel like going, but you like, I
yeah,
gotta get up and get on the grind
exactly.
because yeah,
Yeah, I'm
you
trying to
gotta
get out of here.
you
Yeah,
gotta finish it. You don't want to be taking classes over and stuff like
right,
that.
right, exactly.
Okay, so when it comes to movies, in your opinion, which is the best barbershop scene between Coming to America and Ice Cube's version of the barbershop?
Absolutely coming to America. And when I was a kid watching that movie Coming to America, I just thought like, oh, it's funny that they're in the barbershop, not thinking like years later down the line that I would be a barber. So when I see that scene now, I'm just like, that's so funny. And I'm watching what they're doing. I'm just like, he's not even really cutting hair. He's pretending. And I'm just like, I know what that looks like. I know if he was really cutting hair. He's not. And it's just funny to be able to be like, oh yeah, I remember this movie from my childhood. And now I'm looking at it, I'm just like, oh snap. And that ponytail was fake as shit because oh, sorry for cursing, my bad. But yeah, when he cut it off, now that I think about it, I'm just like, oh, that must have been like a weave. They put a weave in his head. And I was like, oh my gosh, he cut his ponytail off thinking like a kid, like, oh my gosh, he grew that. But now that I know, like, put fake hair in your hair, even a boy can, I was like, oh, so that's what was going on. So I would definitely say, hands down, Coming to America.
Yeah, I totally agree with you on that.
Yeah.
that was a funny one.
Heck
So
yeah.
what is your favorite design, and what is the most challenging cut you ever had to do?
My favorite hair design?
Yes, well, like your favorite cut that you like to
Oh,
do
my
on your
favorite
client.
cut. Um, Actually, my favorite type of hair texture to cut is fine hair. Like you could do comb overs, and you could do like shear work, which is I don't want to use the word, but shears are scissors, but
Right.
for hair. And usually some people be like, oh, you're going to use the scissors on my hair? Like, no, I'm going to use the shears, because that's the proper term to use, because you don't use cutting scissors that you use to cut paper with for your hair. Those are two different things totally. And now that I know the difference, it's just like, yeah, I would never cut anyone's hair with just regular scissors, because that's not good. So I would say comb overs. Like, I don't know. Let me see. What star has a comb over? Maybe Leonardo DiCaprio, or what's his name? Brad Pitt. I don't know. One of those guys, like the biker dudes that be having the slick over, that type of cut. That's that type of cut that I like to do.
That's what's up.
Yeah.
So in 2022, what styles or what cuts are in high demand?
For the young kids, it's the crazy curly afro looking with the fade on the side and the back. And then also the fade around the side with the crazy top that looks like it's either dreadlocks or just like curls everywhere. That's probably one of the most popular cuts that I see a lot of these youngsters are rocking.
Okay, that's kind of like what my son is into now. Like he loves the fade on the side, and now he used to do the old school Philly.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and then now he's into like this curly texture on the top, y'all.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, you really coming into your own. I gotta keep up, with these new styles, so I can make sure I take them to the barber and I can tell them exactly what you're looking for.
Right. And it's like, it's really cool because like the kids that are around your son's age, like they really be like into it. Like they have their picture, they be like, yeah, can you do this and make sure, don't take anything off the top. Like they're very particular with their hair. So I'm just like, once boys understand like, okay, this is my style, they're gonna speak up and be like, oh, can you don't do this, or I want it to look like this. And they have their pictures, they show the picture every single time. They be like, can you do something like this? They make sure like this is exactly what I want. And it's like I see it over and over again. And it's awesome that the parents actually allow them to tell you their barber, like, this is what I want, as opposed to them coming over, oh, here, this is what they want. Like they're giving them that little independence, that freedom of coming into their own.
Yes, and I totally agree, because let me see, last year when I walked my son into the barber shop and they was like, Mom, what do you like? What do you want? And I say something. But this year it's like he know what he want. He tell the barber what he looking for, and I'm like, okay, let me just step back and let you do your thing.
Right. That's great that you do.
Yeah. So one of the final questions I'm gonna have for you is, are there any barber or barber showcases or expos that you've ever attended? And if you did, what was your experience like? Did you ever attend any?
I've actually attended quite a few barber expos and showcases, and My actual first time barber battling was in Connecticut, which was the CT Barber Expo, which is a very, very huge barber expo because there's so much going on, and it's been going on for at least, I want to say, about 7 to 10 years now. It's run by one of the barbers in the industry. His name is Jay Majors. So he always throws it every year. He throws it, and every year it gets bigger and bigger. So that was my first time ever in my life barber battling. And when I tell you, I was so freaked out. I was shaking. My hands were sweating. Like, it was the first time my hands ever sweat in my life. I was just like, what is this? It just made me so anxious. And the one thing that put me at so much ease, which was such a very, like, very chill thing that happened, one of the other competitors looked over at me and she said, "It's going to be okay." And I didn't say anything. I was just like, okay. And that moment made me feel like, okay, it's going to be fine. So that was probably one of the biggest parts of my barbering career. Like, that was like my first ever barber battle. And I took, like, my cousin came with me. I had a hairstylist come with me because I was doing Roger Rabbit, the hair design in my female client's hair. And it was a whole production. Like, we had a whole team come with me, and it was an amazing experience. And it was also an experience that freaked me out. But other than that, I've been to barber expos where they, showcase different products, different tools, even classes like technique classes, product classes. And then you could also purchase like different things that are on the market. Like, there'll be different barbers that have their own brand, their own like t-shirts or their own products. So it's an amazing culture. Like, once you step into the barbering field, you would just never think that it has so much to like be into. And that's when I was just like, yes, this is why I love it, because there's so many things that I can tap into and look at and, learn from. So it's been a great ride. Like, I to this day, I really love being a barber, and I really love investing everything and anything I can to be better at what I do.
Yeah, that's what's up. So, we're going to wrap this up. I want to say thank you all again for tuning into Uncommon Connector. I hope you all enjoyed the show. I sure did. And I hope you all have gained some valuable information from Fiona today.
Yes.
If you want to connect with her, you can connect with her on social media platforms. And also, we are on Functional Training Zone Inc. So we're on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. So make sure you follow our social media.
Oh, also we're on Twitter also.